Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. And I'm always excited to say that we continue to stream stories of entrepreneurship, leadership, and the law. And that means that my co-host for this segment is the one and the only Marc Z from Marc Z Legal Staffing. Welcome back, Marc.
Thanks, Jeff. Great to be here and great to talk about our next guest.
And I'm pretty excited about our next guest. It's Denise Chicoine, and that's managing partner of Englander and Chicoine P.C. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's good. So can you tell us about your background and your law firm?
Well, I was interested in practicing law when I was still in college, and then I was one of those people that went straight through from college to BC. That was when I came to Boston back in 1990. And I started working as a law student for a solo practitioner, and I never left. So I may be, I don't know, unusual being in the same place now for
Wow.
33 years, but it's worked out. It's been a really engaging practice to be with still my law partner, Ed Englander. So
Wow. That's
That's
unusual.
unusual.
And I'm not, I know it's not about me, but my brother saw the Clarence Darrow story when he was 7 years old, the black and white movie, and decided when he was seven he wanted to be an attorney and spent his whole career being a criminal attorney. So, some people, maybe that's the way their cloth is cut, that they were meant to be attorneys. And those are my favorite attorneys.
well,
The
criminal law is a whole other level of undertaking. I really respect that.
the
Wow.
the interesting part is the dynamics from going from an employee to a equal partner, and also sort of the mentorship and the respect and the learning process along the way. So it's very unusual, Denise. So that's obviously this had to be something very special and career fulfilling about it for you to be doing that.
Yes, I'm certainly grateful for the opportunity that I've had, and it has allowed me, since I became a partner in 99, so now that's been 24 years, to really take the practice in a direction that I'm interested in, that works for both of us, to bring on associates, to expand the litigation capacity, in essence.
Well, I'll
Well,
just ask you a question about the partnership because I have a partner that used to be an employee and the relationship changed once we became partners. Did you find that at all?
I think that's true. Yeah, that there's just a different dynamic in, you're no longer assigning things, you're collaborating, and it's a different level of respect that you have, as not just not the worker bee anymore, but someone that can bring in cases, someone that can decide the direction of cases, but still that you both benefit from that collaboration.
Right. Marc, you had a question. I think I caught you before.
yeah, what I also wanted to ask Denise, one of the things about her now that she's obviously built this firm, Denise is well known for an area of law that is very, I know, a favorite topic of yours, Jeff, is getting involved in, as she says, beaches and breaches, dealing with land use and rights. And in this, and as you know, Jeff, because you spend a lot of time on the Cape, and um, there are a lot of issues relating to this that lead to a lot of litigation. And Denise is one of the premier specialists in this space. Denise, do you want to talk about it? Because in the summer, that's when you're seeing more and more issues.
And I've been known to patrol the beach behind me. That's my reputation in the neighborhood.
Yes, well, that's kind of you to say. I mean, there are obviously a number of attorneys in this space, but it's somewhat unusual to focus on beach rights. And Massachusetts and Maine are the only two states in the country where you can own private ownership can extend all the way from high water mark down. And it depends on the deeds, it depends on the history of use of the property, but most other states have public use starting at high water mark, so that the tidal flats, the dry sand basically, can be used in other states for putting out a blanket or playing volleyball. And in Massachusetts, the rights can be, depending again on the circumstances, limited only to fishing and fouling and navigation. So that doesn't include walking or volleyball. And this leads to a lot of tension on places like the Cape, where the beach is such a resource that everybody wants to be using. So we've gotten involved in cases about access and, preservation, like in terms of rebuilding seawalls and proving people's use over the years. So it's a whole range of things, even things involving moorings. It's been very interesting to get involved in.
Oh my, you tick off all my topic areas.
And also shellfishing. We had a couple big cases about aquaculture. So
also on my list in my backyard. All
right.
these things happen. Someone just told me on the weekend it took them 16 years to get a mooring in my backyard.
I mean, it is very much under municipal control, but there is a certain level of right because it's part of navigation. So
Are the laws different in Massachusetts? Oh, well, Maine used to be part of Massachusetts, so I'm wondering that's where it came from. But is it because Massachusetts was incorporated as a Commonwealth before the country was created that these laws predate the country?
yes, it's actually quite fascinating. It was an ordinance in 1647 when they were preparing to build Long Wharf in Boston that the colonists seized the land from the king. And they said, we don't want to be taxed on this land between mean high and mean low. We're going to just build our wharf on it and we're going to say we own it. And that ordinance then applied to Massachusetts Bay Colony. And as you said, Maine was a part of it. And then that continued even after, we had the states and various, other layers of government. That was still a unique aspect of Massachusetts law.
Wow, I sort of stumbled my way into knowledge there.
Right.
Interesting. Denise, what have been your biggest challenges in the last few years? What did the whole COVID process where you had more people coming to the Cape or some of the other beaches to do Airbnbs or to hang out there and spend time that they normally wouldn't have. Like I know, like for example, in New York, I know a lot of New Yorkers went out to the Hamptons during COVID. So did you find that there was a lot? I mean, you couldn't, obviously the beaches, it's colder, so not as many people are out there, but do you find that people were trying to flex their muscle or looking into some of these issues?
Yes, I would say there definitely was an uptick in claims because of this intensified use. And interestingly, a little adjunct to beach use is just general boundary disputes. And with so many people working from home, I really noticed a difference in people like looking out their backyard and saying, what is that fence doing there? Or how long has that shed been there? I don't think that driveway belongs, so there were all these like interpersonal claims because people were focusing being in a different space. And also with the beach rights claims, there was a lot of questions that came up about access, who has the right to use these stairs down to the beach, where are the sideline boundaries? And it's just, I guess, part of it being such a unique resource, back to the point of beaches, particularly.
You find because of more condo associations or buildings going condo that that there are more rules and in terms of access to a beach and everything that's cementing certain rights and rules more now than previously.
I haven't really, in my practice, seen a particular effect of condominiums because they're just, in essence, another private owner, and then they will regulate it for all the unit owners, where you could like store your kayaks, for example, like if the condominium association builds a rack, or so they have ways to regulate the use, but I don't think that has really accelerated any problems that I've seen.
Have there been
So
sorry, Jeff, you go.
now I'm going to ask another question. Sorry, only because of my what I've seen going on. So people are allowed to cross the beach to go fishing, but they're not supposed to stay on the beach. What if somebody brings their family and they get hurt on the beach? Who's liable? Is it the beach owner, or is it the state, or is it no one?
Well, as every good attorney would answer your question, it depends, right? I mean, there really would have to be an analysis of the location, you're hypothetical here, the location of the injury in relation to the who owns what, so not every owner owns privately all the way to the low water mark. Like, as I said in the beginning, it depends on the way the deeds were written back in the 1700s, the way the land has been subdivided. And, so it could be that if it's between mean high and mean low, then there could be a town ownership of that beach. Or if the injury occurred when the tide was all the way out and it was below mean low, that could then be the state involved.
I'm sorry I make it personal. It's just I find it interesting. I saw a family member walking on a seawall, and I thought, oh my, someone should tell him to get down, because if they fall off that seawall, there's going to be a problem, a big problem.
Typically, seawalls are owned by the upland owner, but I mean, it could have been a seawall that was municipal in construction. And there is a theory in the law about coming to the nuisance, meaning that, people take risks that then the landowner is not responsible for.
Sounds like a nice little legal gray area.
Especially if they're not invited, right? I mean, they're like, I guess certain quote visitors are expected to, as Jeff said, to pass through, but others, if you're really trying to, because you can't patrol what goes on your property 24/7, so it's likely.
Denise, I find it all very interesting, and I know this is a ongoing issue throughout Massachusetts, and I hope you come back again and you bring Marc Z with you. If someone's looking for you and wants to know more information about all these things, I know I'm going to be speaking to my family about you. How would they find you?
Well, we do have a website, and I am on LinkedIn, or people can just email me, and I'm very responsive. So
What's your website, Denise?
It's kind of a hangover from a predecessor firm, but so it's LegalStaffing.com. And so even though the firm is Englander and Chicoine, the website has a slightly different name, LegalStaffing.com. And I'm happy to talk to anyone, see if I can add value, because the law is really all about solving problems.
That's great. And Marc Z, if somebody wants to find you, how would they find you?
Thank you, Jeffrey. First of all, Google Marc Z, M-A-R-C, and the letter Z, and or marczlegal.com, marczlegal.com, the wonderful Radio Entrepreneurs website, or 617-338-1300.
I want to remind everybody this is Radio Entrepreneurs, and we will return with more stories after this break.